how to create your own job within a company. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did when I worked for Chevron to do this, and I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. Number 1, what is your role at the company right now? And this is talking about being more of an entrepreneur, and it will make you a great entrepreneur later. Number 2, I want to talk about how you really value and find strengths, where you can add responsibilities to your strengths. And I'm going to say hire your weaknesses, which means get yourself an assistant so you start having some leadership if you don't lead a team already. And then number 3, I want to talk about how do you leverage relationships inside of the company. Number 4, my $1 trillion tip on how to leave it in 90 days when you are ready to go be a real entrepreneur. So number 1, identify your role. So when I was at Chevron, I was an exercise physiologist. I helped build fitness centers on offshore rigs inside blue collar facilities. I literally, my wardrobe there was a hard hat, safety glasses, blue jumpsuits, right? And steel-toed shoes. It was really, really awesome. And I go fitness center to fitness center and oversee engineers. So in the beginning, I was an entrepreneur. I was hired as a contract, and then I couldn't afford the helicopter insurance, so I had to become an employee. So during that 5-year tenure, which I stayed for 5 years because that's what my vesting period was, which was a nice later, financial benefit, I identified my role, and always inside, because I came from the outside, not being an employee. I was an entrepreneur first, came inside. I kind of treated it like it was my own company. First of all, the level of responsibility and performance changes when you're not there because you have to be there for a paycheck. So your identification and association to that paycheck has to shift. So inside your role, look wider. What else is going on in the team? What other problems could you solve? Start thinking more like an entrepreneur inside the company, because right now you're an entrepreneur. You have a paycheck. You have probably a 401k. You probably have all those things. But I can tell you psychologically, you start shifting as if it was yours. I remember I would actually at the end of a month add up and calculate invoices. So if I was on a contract and not an employee and I had to invoice them, how would I invoice them? I'll never forget. I did that for months and months and months when I first had to become an employee, because I was just in the process of that's what I did. That's how I made my money. I invoiced a couple times a month, and then I got paid on what I did. So you're actually really tracking your performance, you're tracking your role, you're tracking the problems you're solving and your contribution. As you go into number 2, then you actually go bigger. Say, what other problems can I solve? What are the other strengths I can bring to these relationships? How could I help other departments? So I could help with ergonomics, for example. I'll go back to my example of Chevron. So I went from exercise physiology to ergonomics. We went from, the blue collar facilities into the office environment. I remember bringing ergonomic chairs for the first time in the, late mid 80s to Chevron. Nobody even talked about that. I helped one of my best friends, hire her in, and she became an ergonomist. Actually went out and actually did full testing of the employees. So I brought that in, created more value. People knew that I did that. So again, strengthen your strengths, hire your weaknesses, bring on more people to take care of the things that you're not good at. So while you're inside of a company, and I coach so many people on this, engineers that want to leave, technology people who want to leave, computer people who want to leave, aerospace people who want to leave, people who want to go be on their own as a consultant, you've got to mentally start preparing yourself while you're inside. And let's be honest, you have the safety of and the protection of that paycheck and all the benefits and all of that, because you're not quite ready to be that entrepreneur. Other things that you can do as you strengthen your strength is volunteer. Every company has community service projects. They have internships. I remember bringing on a lot of internships that were engineers out of LSU, because really, who built the fitness centers? Engineering, general contractors. So I would bring them on. I would intentionally want to lead those groups. And again, I would do the budgeting and the timelining, because I wanted that skill set, knowing that when I leave, I want to bring that with me, so I'm doing it inside. The other thing I did to strengthen my strengths and hire my weaknesses is I raised my hand and I said, I know you have a 100% education reimbursement plan. I want to go to master coaching school. So this is when the International Coaching Federation began. This is when coaching was really starting to be like a real industry. And I was one of the first ones out. I had a master certification from one of the highest grade coaching institutes. Chevron put me through it. And I came back and I started doing team leading executive coaching. I was so not only doing fitness things, I got into leadership, team building, communication. How do you work together better? How do you be healthier together in this environment? How do you create a healthy culture? Culture is just group behavior. So I started doing more of that, knowing that I was on an exit coming soon. Number 3, which I think is the most important, is you got to start leveraging your relationships. So several months before you think, oh, I'm on my way out, and you don't have to just be on your way out, you could stay, but then you want to ratchet up paychecks and bonuses as you add on more of this conversation of actually bringing this into the company. But when I say leverage your relationships, I intentionally got to meet division managers. I mean, I went beyond just like the operational managers up to like the refinery managers, the marketing managers. I got to headquarters. That's why I moved to San Francisco, because I wanted to work next to the executive branch, knowing that I had these coaching skills, knowing I had all this like financial skills, and I wanted to bring it back in. So the day I left, well, let me talk about the 90 days before I left. You really have to psychologically start treating yourself like you're an entrepreneur. Like if you were a consultant, what time would you show up every day? Would you invoice every day? How would you manage differently? How would you be in the relationships differently? I stopped going to work with my counterparts. I would ask those above me to go to lunch, or I would take them to lunch, or I'd bring them a coffee. I'd make sure I was really managing those relationships. And psychologically, it's a big, big cluster. I remember it being so different knowing that I was going to leave. And then let's talk about the paycheck part of leaving. Before I do that, actually, I want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to click the notification button. I want to hear it every day. I have so much to share, so much to talk to you about, in not only the experiences I have, but what my clients are going through, what you can be going through. You're not out there by yourself. You don't have a complicated situation. I have seen it all in the 25 plus years I've been doing this. There's nothing that's going to be shocking about what you've done to yourself that we can't, in a business or financial conversation, talk about and fix. Make sure you share this also with lots of folks. And I wouldn't share it with your bosses or higher ups quite yet, knowing that you're watching me and I'm probably going to coach you out of your job, because you're going to make way more money as an entrepreneur, I promise you. So as you're thinking about that exit, here's the financial formula that I can guarantee you'll be out in 90 days. So first of all, you never replace your salary. That is completely the wrong formula. I don't know who made that number up. It's ridiculous, because that number is taxed to pieces. So let's just say you have a $60,000 job. That means you probably only bring home about 40, 45, because you're paying a bunch in taxes, maybe. So what you're doing is you're looking at what goes into your checking account. So let's just say, for easy math, you make $4,000. You make $2,000 to $2,000. You have 2 paychecks a month, $2,000 to $2,000. That is what you live on. So you really don't have to replace $4,000. You only have to replace 2. If you can get your company to $2,000, right, and you're moving at $2,000 a month, remember that's part-time. So the minute you quit, you're giving your life back. You're getting 40, 60 hours back, especially if you're a commuter and you live in a big city. I lived in San Francisco. I remember my commute both ways was well over an hour, which is why I take the ferry or I'd bike or somehow try to get around the disastrous traffic. You're getting 40 to 60 hours of your life back. So don't tell me if you're at 2 a month, you can't soar to 6, 7, 8 a month. So don't think about just replacing 4. That's the wrong number. So there's your financial formula on quitting. Do it as fast as you can. I'm going to give you 2 tickets to my Millionaire Intensive, where we teach you how to be this entrepreneur, how to make money. The last few weeks, I can promise you, before you leave, you've got to start thinking about your identity shift. Because I remember being Loral Langemeier, the exercise physiologist that worked in the health department of Chevron, to knowing where I was going. I was the master distributor of the cash flow game for the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand. You talk about identity crisis. I wasn't even in the same field. So you've got to start thinking through how you're going to have an immediate transition to what is it that you're going to do. So I dropped that conversation even while I was there. If I met people within the month of leaving and they said, what do you do? I was a master distributor for cash flow for the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand. People didn't know who it was. I would educate them and I start building a database. So as an entrepreneur, you start with an entity and a database. I can promise you, you have to have both. So to have a database, we can do it for you. Super simple, super fast. Click on the link below. Go to askrms.com. Go get our systems that I've been using for over 20 years. It's only $297 a month. Let us help you get that going, because you've got to get a database. You can start that database while you're still inside. When you leave, I give yourself a little moment to breathe, because you have a new identity. You've got to get out and make some money. You've got to be out and generating cash immediately. We'll show you how to do that at the Millionaire Intensive and help you start your company, get your database, and get you making cash right away. So if you're interested, Want to jump out of your job from being an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, I will teach you and coach you out of there strategically so you don't leave that nice paycheck behind, because I'm just going to call that your training period, as I'm going to help you leave in less than 90 days. So if you're interested, I want you to fill out an application to talk to one of my lead team members and say, first of all, we're going to see, are you serious? Or are you, committed? Are you just interested? Just want to check it out. But fill out the application. It'll put you right in a queue, right into a scheduling link. You'll talk to one of our lead folks right away within less than a week. I mean, it depends on their pipeline. We've got a lot of people that are filling out applications, and we want to talk to you, see if we can help you jump as fast as you can. Talk to you tomorrow.